What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Talking Ball. It's Jack, and today I want to spend a few minutes because this is the biggest game of the season for the Duke Blue Devils, talking about the keys for this game. And I think there are three main keys in this game. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The first key, I think, is turnovers. The turnover battle is going to be really important. If you just look at the stats of both teams, you might think that this is going to be a low turnover game. And I think if that's the case, it favors Duke. This is going to be a game where Houston has to force Duke to turn the ball over. And that will increase Houston's chances of winning this game. Part of the reason I think this could be a challenge for Duke is Houston is 20th in turnover rate. They force their opponents to turn the ball over at a high rate. And a lot of the teams that Duke has played recently haven't been able to do so. At times this year, we have seen Duke's freshmen, Con Knippel and Cooper Flagg, struggle with turnovers. So that is going to be something that could decide this game. It's going to be something that I'm going to be watching. How the Houston pressure defense works against Duke's offense. Do they force live ball turnovers and let Houston get out and run? Because I think Houston also, well, Houston's defense is Houston's defense is excellent. So is Duke's. It's not much worse than Houston's. And so if Houston can force Duke into turnovers, that'll enable them to attack Duke's defense without it being set up, which will help Houston score more efficiently in this game. The next key, rebounding. While Houston is a top 10 offense, a lot of their offense comes from their ability to offensive rebound. They are 11th in offensive rebounding rate in the country, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. And a lot of that is because they're forwards. Joseph Tugler, Javier Francis, Jawan Roberts, they really crash the offensive glass. So it's going to be a battle for Duke to keep Houston off the glass. They're going to get some offensive rebounds, which will lead to kickouts for open threes. But if Duke can limit that, it will make it more difficult for Houston to score in this game against Duke. And so that's going to be another key battle that I'm going to be focused on in this game. Just similar to the turnovers, they're kind of related in terms of possessions. I think part of the reason Houston has done so well, they turn you over and they get offensive rebounds. So they just seemingly get more shots than the opposition. If Duke is able to neutralize some of that, it will favor the Blue Devils in this one. But if Houston can just do what they've done all year, it's going to make this game a lot more difficult for the Duke Blue Devils. Lastly, foul trouble. I think two guys in particular, although you could really argue for a bunch of guys, and certainly I could throw in a third guy here as well. But the two guys that I thought of when I was thinking about foul trouble are Joseph Tugler, who I think is one of, if not the best defender in college basketball. The only thing with Tugler, he does average 3 fouls in just over 20 minutes per game. So he is foul prone, and that's going to be something to monitor in this one. And then for Duke, it's Kaiman Malawach, who's been playing at a much higher level these past few weeks and has been playing more minutes as a result. And so him staying out of foul trouble, I think, is going to be a key for Duke, especially with his ability to rebound and how that can neutralize some of Houston's offensive rebounding. On the flip side, with Tugler, it's going to be important for him to stay out on the court so he could neutralize some of Duke's offensive ability with his just impressive ability to neutralize the ball screen and the pick and roll action with his ability to hedge out and just make it really difficult for the opposing ball handler to make that next pass, and then his ability to block shots and offensive rebounds. So I think those two guys staying out of foul trouble. Yes, you could certainly talk about Cooper Flagg as well as part of that group because he's been in foul trouble at times for the Blue Devils this season. But I really think those two guys are going to be the keys in terms of foul trouble for this game. Lastly, a bonus key, if you will, I think will be the 2-point shooting for the Houston Cougars. They don't shoot the ball great. If you look at the percentages from 2-point range, they are 48%, whereas Duke just played a team in Alabama who shot nearly 60%. or I think they were at 60% before the Duke game from 2-point range. But there's a big difference. If you just look at the stats, it doesn't tell the full story. Alabama gets to the rim, or got to the rim throughout most of the season. And while Houston does that, their guards specifically, Sharp, Uzan, and Arsenault, and Cryer, but I think it will be more difficult for Cryer in this game, have the ability to shoot tough twos, whereas Alabama was kind of coached really against them to shoot those kind of shots throughout the season. And so I think Houston, even though if you look at the stats, they may seem like a worse matchup, I think it's actually a better matchup for them to be able to hit tough twos because their guards are much more accustomed to those shots throughout the season. And so whether or not they can hit those Saturday night will be a key for this game. Should be a lot of fun Saturday. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and drop your comments below. And we'll see you guys for the post-game show immediately after Duke versus Houston Saturday night. Until then, peace.